Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the lead series. I'm your host for the day, Thomas Ayuaki, and I'm joined by...
I'm Castro Mbidi, and I'm so happy to be here today as Tom's co-host. The first two sessions I joined as a guest, and this being my third one, I'm happy that at least I've been upgraded from a guest to a co-host. Yeah, so happy, Tom. Thanks.
Yeah. Any pressure?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I can say the first and the second sessions, I was a little bit tensed because those are the first ever sessions to be live on camera.
Yeah.
But now I'm no longer camera shy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have the confidence to pick it up and lead the entire podcast session.
Yeah. It's certainly visible. So before we introduce our illustrious guest for the day, just to provide a little bit of context as to why we are doing this episode. So one of the biggest topics we wanted to cover for a while now is the pathway to innovation, and specifically a critical look at the software development lifecycle. And the reason why we're taking that specific route is that we just want women and youth who are interested in technology to be able to, in their own way, learn from this and draw out their own pathway towards developing meaningful prototypes, whether it's in form of websites or mobile applications that can be able to serve the society at large. But to do that, we felt that we needed to speak to an industry expert who has a lot of experience within that particular space and also has a passion for sharing this knowledge with this and the next generation as we move forward in this digital age. So I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll go into the other aspects of the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Tom. Among our great podcasters, my name is Winnie Mandela. I'm a software engineer currently transitioning into the QA role. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have worked in a lot of areas in the software engineering. Mm-hmm. So that's inclusive of front-end web development, the product management side, being a tech lead, and the whole leadership and the product management aspect itself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm hoping I'll be able to share and at least inspire someone out there to get out of that comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You seem to have a lot of experience in very many different areas.
Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
If I was to strong-arm you to pick one as your favorite through the experience that you've had, whether it's on the programming side, project leading, which one do you prefer?
I'll pick the programming side. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you cannot manage a project that you don't know what it entails. Mm-hmm. For you to be a good program manager in the tech side, you should have at least been involved in an actual programming project. Let's say if you're building a website and you've been told, so, hi Mandela, today you will be the project manager for our next solution. Mm-hmm. If I don't know what it entails in the website project, I'll set up some unrealistic goals and start telling you I want the website done within 1 day or within 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So in terms of, within the space of project management, if you don't mind me asking, how do you manage, how big are the teams that you manage?
So previously I've only worked with a team of 10 people. Mm-hmm. And then there was the other one where I was working with stakeholders in the sense that you have a team of these qualified people who have a lot of projects, but they want you to be in charge of a tiny little project. So it's you managing your 2 to 3 devs around there. Yeah. So what that looked like for me was, I think you need to be a people's person. Yeah, because as much as you need to get your bills paid and as much as you've done your project management certification or I don't know what, you really need to know how to identify the strength in your team. For example, if you're in a team with you can find that Castro is doing the front-end side, but he's not so good with working with other people. And you're doing the back-end side, but you're too good with people to an extent. If someone else comes and tells you hi Tom, this is the problem I have, you're like, no, that's not how it is done. Let me show you. No, you really need to know that this one can teach, this one can learn. Then you pair them up well.
Okay. A lot of experience in team dynamic. I think that's always a good sign of a good project lead.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So before I go a little bit too far ahead, I wanted to pose, it's not a philosophical question in any way, but just something in general that I would like to get you and Castro's thoughts on. When you hear the term innovation, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Ladies first.
I'm a lady, guys. I forgot. I forgot.
I saw you attempting to answer the question, and I was like, "Wait, Bana, you want to start before?"
No, I can't.
Yeah. So, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the term innovation?
I think I'll copy a slogan from one of my mentors. He told me, "Be ready." Yeah, innovation is a very weird space, and they're all human beings. If I sit here and I see this glass jar over here, I'm not the only person who has seen it, you see? So you just be ready to figure out whatever you want to solve, and also be quick in implementing. If I decide I'm going to buy this whole space today, Castro just come and say, I'm going to get a share of this space. You can get the rest. We are all innovators. We just did it different. But now you need to be ready for that challenge. If you don't, then I don't think this world is for you, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all right.
Seems like a very competitive space. How about you, Castro? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the term innovation?
The first thing that comes to mind when I hear the term innovation, I can say is a product. And it doesn't have to be, just like Mandela said, this glass, it doesn't have to be a technology product. Innovation can be anything. Anything. So new ideas or new methods or new solutions to problems that we experience or we encounter on our day-to-day life situations. So for me, innovation is any product that doesn't exist or any solution or any new method or idea. Yeah.
Okay. So when you guys look at where we are as a country, if we can just focus on the big picture for a few minutes, where do you think we are as a country, especially as we approach this digital age? Where do you think we are when it comes to innovation, and how do you see us progressing maybe in the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one. You'll always be the first one, by the way.
With the power bestowed upon myself.
Yeah.
Now, where do I see where we are? Okay. So, in the country, I think we're divided into 2 slots. So I don't know if it's 2 slots or 2 categories.
Yeah.
We have people who are towards like creating a presence in the Kenyan. Yeah, it's the Kenyan tech space, right?
Yeah.
Tech space, like we have people who want to be known in the Kenyan tech space, and then we have the skill side. For the skill side, we are slightly low because you find that like right now, in our current age, we are the ones who are striking on the streets recently. But you find a lot of people in the skill sector are veterans. They're like people past my age, like they've been in the tech space for, let's say, like around 6 to 7 years. Those people have like concrete knowledge. You tell them, I want to build this. They've already mapped out everything and told you, you'll use this server, you'll use this cloud provider, you'll use this. But now, if you come to the other product side, you find that we have a lot of people who are there, like trying to innovate the way you had asked earlier, but they don't have the skills. So it's more of like, if we take the growth graph, it's like for the skills, we are somehow here below, because the old people already skilled, got whatever they want, they're getting the jobs. But now with the young people, we are more focused on growing, but growing without support. So I don't know where we are growing though.
It's a bit difficult to gauge. Yeah. I'm a bit surprised that you consider people with 6 to 7 years as guys who have a lot of experience. That means that I'm very old, Castro.
No, in the tech space, if you're conversing with someone, let's say on like a concept, it's very easy to gauge and know this one just did the fundamentals and went ahead and get the job.
So it's not necessarily time bound or anything.
No, it's more of like, how well do you know your stuff?
Okay.
Yeah. If I tell you I have this problem, how well do you know where the problem came from?
Yeah.
And like you telling me, let me ask ChatGPT or let me go to Stack Overflow and get the answer. Yeah.
Okay. So how about you, Castro? Where do you think we are, and how do you feel we are progressing maybe as we embark on this digital age?
Sorry. For me, I'll explain just like Mandela has done in 2 aspects. The first one is let me focus on the skill set side. And I'm going to give an example. I want to explain. There's a day I sent my resume to someone, and they're now the kind of old guys in the system. And my resume had some experience on how I've been using OpenAI products to do stuff, and how I've been using AI to do stuff, and just the modern day technologies or tech stacks. And then the person I'm sending this to, I can say the old guys in the game. So when he got my resume, it was like, let's pick this person, afanye kazi ya internship, and we pay them 15,000 per month. Like, he sees me as someone who is too young and someone who doesn't understand what they're doing. And the problem is he has not catched up with time to understand what is happening right now.
Yeah.
So I can say the old guys, not all, but I can say most of them have refused to be up to date with what is happening right now. And I can say in a way they might be dragging us behind. Then the young ones or the Gen Zs, these guys are moving very fast and they don't want to lose anything. Whatever is happening out there, they want to ensure that the country is, whatever the country is experiencing in the technology landscape, they know it. So in the technology space, the skill set wise, I can say kidogo we are a little bit behind, because the old guys, they don't want to continue learning and gaining the knowledge. Now, when it comes to development wise and the products that we have right now, I can say Kenya is a leader in the e-solutions landscape in Africa. And you already know that in Kenya, like most countries from the US and other countries, they normally invest in Kenya and ensure that at least we have startups that are they are doing something. Whenever you hear a startup in Kenya, they chip in and they put in their money and their funds. So I can say at least that line, we are headed to the right direction, but we still need more. There's more that is needed in terms of infrastructure and at least some policies that ensure that guys are not being put down in terms of the guys who are coming here, not us. And the other thing I can say is we also need, as young people, to have some policies or some frameworks to ensure that if someone has an idea, because I'm very sure if you ask someone, do you feel like you are safe with your idea in Kenya or in the US, someone will say, I prefer to be having that idea in the US because someone will have investors who will chip in with the money, and they'll even the government itself will kind of support you. But they'll tell you in Kenya, I don't want to share my idea because so and so, if I share it, you imeenda. You understand? Yeah. So it's a little bit mixed up, but we're headed somewhere anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I've got three specific aspects from your responses here. So there's the issue of technical capacity that's been addressed well enough. There's the issue of policy, especially around intellectual property. Yeah. And again, just creating platforms where we can be able to continue capacity building and creating awareness around the opportunities that are there. So given what's at stake for this and the next generation, what do you think needs to be done differently to be able to expedite this e-solution space? Because let's be honest, we are heading towards Vision 2030.
Yeah.
We are looking at least 50% of the new jobs coming in mainly being around the space of technology. So what needs to be done to be able to kind of allow access to women and youth from different walks of life? What needs to be done differently?
I think from my view, I would say we'll first need to dilute the market, because as Castro was saying about someone having an idea, you find that a lot of people in the tech space just always think of building a consultancy firm to offer tech services. Like I sit and say, in 2 years' time, I'll have a company, I'll be building websites, mobile apps. You see, if in your area, 20 people are still doing the same, I don't know where you're going to get your clients. So if possible, and you're planning to get into the tech space, just get out of that chair and try and explore a field that is not try and build a solution that is, yes, it's technical, but it's not offering technical services. For example, you can decide to build something in the agriculture sector or build something in the tourism sector. Because I think if you tend to hang out with these people in different industries. They like calling themselves digital transformation officer. What other terms do they call themselves?
I think I've only heard of digital transformation experts or something.
Yeah, like if you go into an organization,
Solution experts or consultants, just generic terms like that.
But now most of them are usually placed in like big organizations.
Yeah.
Their work is just to gauge the transformation of the company into the ICT sector. You see, if someone can come up with a solution to help in that, it will be good, because it's not like I'll be still offering my services. It's just that it's a different way of building a tech product. So will be the first one. The second thing I'd like to say is, this one goes specifically to the developers. Take time to learn. I know the dynamics are shifting and everything is shifting, but like just take your time to sit and know your stuff.
Yeah.
If you're planning to be a front-end developer, sit and learn. I'm not telling you to be someone who is how do you call this thing? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, not imposter syndrome. The one that people watch a lot of, tutorial hell. Yeah. I'm not telling you to be in a tutorial hell, but ensure that if I give you a project, you can do that thing without consultation. You see? Because once you do that, you don't have to worry. If you decide I'm going to start up a startup, at least I know on the front end side, I'm good. Yeah. Then,
okay.
Yeah, that's all I think I have.
Yeah, so that's mainly within now the technical capabilities of developers. So not to put this government under pressure, we've seen what's going on with them recently. So I'll try and frame this question very, very carefully, if you allow me. What role do you think, for example, the government, private and development sector can have in, again, growing this e-solution space moving forward? Castro.
Oh, it's my okay.
Yeah.
You got me on this one, but it's okay. So for the government, I feel like they need to introduce some frameworks, like regulatory frameworks, so that at least they can regulate what is happening out here. And I think even the other time, Tom, I mentioned something that whatever happens in the country, it's the government that is aware. So they need to ensure that whatever tech companies or whatever tech space that is happening out here, they regulate it. That is, that doesn't shoot to the level that it's beyond control. And also it's not something that is undervalued. Like we need to have something that is valuable to the citizens and even to the market out here. And when we go to the, is it private sector? You mentioned private sector.
Yeah.
So the private sector needs to invest more on like tech talent and even innovation hubs, so that at least the government, because the government will give you the space, and you can't be given the space to only be making the profits. You also need to give back to the community.
That's very important.
Yeah, they need to ensure that they also have like internships for guys out here, and they also provide some like trainings to people. You remember what the other speaker mentioned, the guest we had last week, but one, about how like companies like Microsoft are shaping the way tech courses are being trained in Kenya, and they're even going a mile extra to train lecturers. Those are the things we expect from even the other companies. Even the local ones, if you have the muscles to do that, go for it. And there was another sector you mentioned.
Yeah, because for me, when I look at the development sector, for example, that's where I sit mainly. And I'm in charge of developing capacity building programs that can be able to push this specific agenda moving forward, among many others that I'm sure we've shared on multiple episodes. So when I look at what the responsibility is within that specific space, it's essentially my job to create capacity building, mentorship, and job and entrepreneurial programs or entrepreneurial placement programs that can be able to assist young people. And so that's why even this episode is such an important one for me as an individual. Because when I hear from you guys and kind of what needs to be done, you've talked about policy, you've talked about self-capacity building. I'm also gauging and learning a lot from what we need to do as a development sector to be able to kind of enhance this capacity, especially for women and youth. I think there's a lot that's to be gained there.
And if I'm to ask, and I'll ask you, Tom, so how can these sectors like collaborate effectively to achieve the goals? Like how can they ensure that no sector is left behind? They're moving at the same pace.
Yeah, so for me, it just goes down to our performance indicators. When you look at Vision 2030, that's what drives everything moving forward. I love discussing technology. I think it's a very cool thing to do from time to time. But if there is no end goal to all of this, in terms of how we grow in socio-economically as an industry and even as a country, then it just doesn't make sense. So that's why for me, even when you talk of a multi-sector approach, my thinking will be, okay, how can I target people within the health sector, the agriculture sector, the MSME sector, who are the people who benefit most from these solutions. And then from there, capacity build them or people around them who can be able to now innovate and develop solutions that can be able to scale up their socio-economic activity. So that's what I try and look at. And that's why for me, it's not necessarily about building the capacity of the technological space. That's a very small, when you look at the bigger picture, it's a very small percentage of the entire population. But if I can cascade this to all these other sectors and make sure that healthcare workers, guys in agriculture, guys in the MSME space, even if I'm not training them, because there's this other misconception that I'm supposed to train them on coding, that's not going to happen. If I can train people within their ecosystems to be able to develop solutions that serve them, then that will be an approach for me that serves the digital age and Vision 2030.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm learning from you guys. A lot. So you talked about the skilling aspect, and I want to tie you down there a little bit. How do you deal with maybe within your work as a project manager? How do you deal with maybe individuals that need a little bit more guidance and mentorship when it comes to just getting them to the point where they're producing working prototypes for you? Because I'm sure you've worked with people who are not necessarily up to the standard that you want and you expect as a program manager. So how do you manage such process?
I think when it comes to project management, or if you're given such a role, the first thing is always to know that you're the expert in the room, as much as you don't know anything. But the minute you sit on that table, everyone is always like, yes, Castro, we are all looking up to you. So if it is in that case, as I said, you need to first of all study the team dynamics, then always make sure that if you are pairing up someone, you make sure one person is higher than the other. You see, because that is going to reduce the amount at which someone is going to come and like call you at 2 a.m. and be like, "Hi Tom, my button is not working." You see?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's one. Then another one, while doing the project, because I think project is not all about a product. It's also all about the experience that the team members are going to get. So while you are crafting that project timeline, you also need to craft some time for people to learn. I think I can share a bit. For my first startup that I was, we could have sessions for people to come and share what I don't know. Like, for example, if you're a team of 3, and let's say I know everyone in the room does not know how to pour water in the glass, I'll have to curate a whole session, presentation, everything. Typically how you would present a project to people. Then I will come and show my fellow colleagues, and my colleagues could give me rating. So I think that's what I would do. So I would ensure pair you up with someone who's higher than you. And then now I would ensure that the project is not all about building a product. It's also about the experience. Yeah.
Okay. And Castro, how about you? I know you've had a lot of experience collaborating with like-minded people around solutions that you've developed. So how do you kind of deal with those issues where maybe you have a few members within your team who are not necessarily where they need to be within your SDLC space? So how do you engage with these people to ensure that they're on the same page with the rest of the members?
Thank you. The first thing I'll say is when you are in the product or program management space, you need to understand that you are not there as a manager. You're not a manager to manage. You're not there to manage the people, but you're there as a leader. you don't go there bragging to people that I'm a manager. You're there as a leader, and you're there as a leader to lead the project and ensure that at least the product is finalized and it's deployed and it's working, and there are no bugs and no one has given up on the idea that you guys started with. So the first thing I do is, and this is something we did. I don't know if I forgot to mention, but she also participated in Game of Learners season 3 as a team captain.
Oh, okay.
I also participated as a team captain many times, you know that.
Yeah.
So in such like a scenario, you will meet with guys who like they are average, and you'll also meet with someone, because this time around you're dealing with students, someone who doesn't understand anything about coding. Even some guys even from different courses that are not computer science or IT.
So how are you managing that? Because that patience for me doesn't exist.
I know. So what you do, assuming you're given a team of 4 guys and you plus someone or maybe 2,
I'm
you understand
checking the
coding.
illiterate one, by the way.
Yeah, pardon?
I'll check the illiterate one.
Jill?
I'll check the illiterate one.
No.
If you give me a team of 4 people, I'm checking
Remember,
the
I said
illiterate
you're
one.
a leader, not a manager. Okay,
Yeah, so convince
the
me
name
then.
says product manager, program manager,
Yeah.
but you're a leader.
So convince me then. How do I...
For me, this is the approach that I take. I sit down with the team, and then after I have known what each person is capable of, I'll assign roles depending on what each person can do. And then for the guys who don't know anything, because it's a project that will run for maybe like 3 months, or maybe 2 months. So you'll pick the fresh talent that doesn't understand anything, and then try to put them on a learning phase. Like you'll ask each person, what is your passion? My passion is front end design. Good with let's say things like technical writing. So you'll give each person what they can and then try to mentor them. You are a leader, so try to mentor them and move with them. You move with them until the end. I did one mistake during Game of Learners season 2. I got a team that didn't know anything. And at that time, as a product manager, I also didn't know anything. So what we did, we all gave up. We didn't do anything.
That's tricky. Yeah.
So the good thing is, but not all program or product managers understand the technical aspect. So what you do is just understand each person's capability and their skill and their strengths. Try to mentor them. Ensure that at least no one gives up and someone will come out of that program with a skill. Then move with them. You will finish the product, but if you give up, nothing will be created or developed by the team.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when it comes to now the other side, when you are now in the industry and you're dealing with people, at least you know someone has a skill, but not to the point.
Not to the standard, yeah.
Yes. So what you do is just, you are a leader, remember that. Don't make anyone feel like they don't know what they are doing. And also, do not make people feel like our manager knows everything. Just balance. Balance. It's like a family. You don't want to show one kid that you're special and the other one is not special. So try to ensure that is not your project. Your guys don't notice that you're trying to favor someone because they know too much, or you're trying to put down someone because they don't know something. Just move with them, mentor them, ensure that each person does something. And that's how we learn, because in tech, you do not have to know everything to create something. But as you create something, you will know everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a nice quote. Winnie, do you share the same principles when it comes to leadership and mentorship, especially when you're working with big groups like what you've mentioned?
When I'm working with big groups, I share the same, but I wouldn't use the same strategy. I would more of like make you feel like you're the boss. Because, if you're in a group, there's no need for me to say like, So you're the tech lead, you're the assistant front-end developer. Now I'll just say like the 3 of you are in charge of front-end, the 2 of you are in charge of back-end. So if they need to be a task, I'll just be like, who is doing the task? So instead of me asking like, can you give me an update on the back-end side, I'll just ask, can you give me an update on the authentication module? Like I'll go much specific. If you give someone the chance to be their own boss, they tend to fear, how is it called? Kuonekana vibaya niitaje kwa Kizungu?
I don't know how to translate it.
Like ataki kwa ni aibu, because you know, if you're giving an update on how the project is, someone would feel bad if they say, so in our side we haven't done anything at all, we were striking. But if they come and they be like, so this week we were able to accomplish this and this and this, they really feel like, yes, I've made it. So that's one thing I'll do. I would like now let you be the boss. But obviously during the project report, I'm the one who's going to take, but I'll make sure like I mention you. Also, that's also another thing. I would like accredit you. So if I'm giving an update on the stakeholders, I'll be more of like, Castro and Tom were able to do this and this. And at least, you know, you feel that appreciation. Then the other thing on mentorship, I would somehow cut it. I feel like a timed mentorship is better than a stretched mentorship. Like, for example, I tell you, we're doing this project for 4 months, and I'll be mentoring you for the 4 months. So out of 4 months, you should be doing this and this and this and this. And like me telling you, I'll be your mentor for the whole life. Okay, yes, you'll get a mentor who is available that whole time, but a timed mentorship kind of tells you like, this is the best. Like, for example, if you tell me you're mentoring me, I'll be like, this is Tom from Acquit. He's decided to give me 1 hour a week out of his busy schedule. So I better get the most out of it, because after 4 months, you won't be available. And like you tell me, I'm your mentor till you die.
That can't work. No, there's no time for that.
So, you mentioned something about how you manage your team. And I just want to know, like, or to understand from you, like, which tools do you use when managing a team? Like, how do you track which features are being developed and shipped by the team, and like everything? Because you said you don't like asking someone, I need an update on what is happening here. So, like, are there tools you use within your work to track?
Okay, so for the tools, it honestly depends with the team. I've ever been in a scenario whereby no one likes the famous Jira, but the product manager is so into it. He's like, yes, Jira. So I think, first of all, since I've said you're a leader of the people, you'll have to, first of all, like, assess the skill set. The way Tom was asking that you might find some people are skilled, others are not skilled. You also need to consider that, because for Jira, let's say, you need to, like, people need to know their work around that whole software. But if you take a document like Notion, I mean, like a software like Notion, it's just typing. And also found out that other people even use Google Docs for managing tasks. So first of all, you get to know how skilled are your people, and secondly, do they have a preferred tool that they can use? Because if they have a tool that they're used to, let's say like Asana, it's not hard work for me, because I'll just tell you, Tom, create account, add everyone, assign tasks. And like I tell you, Tom, go and use Jira. We shall be using Jira. That's a lot of work. But from what I've seen, since we are more into the dev space, I think I've used GitHub Actions. I tend to see GitHub, not GitHub Actions, like GitHub itself, the project management tool, the project management side. It's much easier for devs, because you just push code, go to the repo, and then just mark the issues. Is it done or not done? However, if you're in an organization that is like, structured, very well. Like for you to get a PR, you have to like, hey. In such an organization, you'll find them using either Jira or Asana.
What about Monday, Trello?
Trello. Okay, for the Trello side, I think it depends on the project that you're doing. If the project is purely dev, like there's no interaction with the product team, there's no interaction with the stakeholders, people might use Jira, GitHub Actions, even if possible Asana. But if your team has like now, third-party stakeholders. Let's say like now you need to interact with the product team. They might use Trello, there you've said.
Yeah.
And also one that's very famous is Notion. But recently I've seen people using ClickUp. But for me, GitHub is very easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one called Microsoft To Do. That is the easiest.
Yeah,
That's
To Do is for the programming guys like us, guys who moved away from technology. But I prefer that even in tracking projects here at the organization. To-do list and planner.
To-do list, I think you can use it for many things, both even your daily activities and the programming side.
Yeah.
And before, Tom, just a sec, what's your take on Azure DevOps? I know we used it during Game of Learners. Like, what's your take on Azure DevOps?
It depends on the cloud provider, honestly.
Yeah.
And also it depends with their devs. Because I've noticed the devs who are like introduced into the coding platform, like the self-taught devs, they're more of like Microsoft is a no-go zone. Kidogo. Yeah. Because, but however, it's a good project. If you're in the Microsoft environment, it's a good one. Because now you see, you don't have to worry about licenses and stuff. See, that's also something else you need to consider while picking a tool. Because, for example, in the Microsoft ecosystem, there's a solution called Dynamics 365. If I was building an ERP on top of it, I'll only have to like build for one person. Because if I'm to add you onto that software, you have to buy another license. Yes, it's a good tool, but it's expensive on the other side. It's
true.
So you need to if your company is using the Microsoft suite, like you're the silver, gold Microsoft partner or solution designated partner. Azure DevOps is good, you see, because it has everything. And then what else? But if you are not using that, you'll have to look for another alternative.
Okay, that's a good.
I would have asked another question, but let's just
let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead. There's this thing I see people doing, like you find that someone is using Google spreadsheets to manage a project. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Like
when it comes to event planning in the event sector, like let's say you see the equities, let's say the way you are planning this, it will be much easier for other, like now, let's say your boss, you're very good people. My apologies. Yeah, let's say like your boss or let's say like him, it's much easier for him to use Google Sheets, you know, because he's used to it. But now for using the other one, they're the same. But now the fact that I have to install the software, you know, I have to have an Office 365 account.
But I've seen people using spreadsheets to manage tech projects. It's like using Word to Microsoft Word to like as a code editor. I've seen someone use Google spreadsheet.
You don't like want to go the area of code editor
to do the tasks and then to be done by someone. Like I don't know, maybe they feel like they don't want to spend on these other products like Trello, Jira, Monday.com. I don't know. I don't know whether it's an effective way, but
again, it depends. I'm sure that's something that you'd like to share a little bit. But from what I'm gathering from the two of you, it depends. Because if there are resources to work on the 365 suite, whether it's at the gold or silver level, then I don't see any reason as to why you wouldn't make use of the Azure services that are there. But again, if you're working with and you'll find in most tech companies, like even here in Akwit, not everybody is necessarily inclined on some of the resources that you've talked about. And so the thing is that when you're doing a lot of project management and coordination, you have to also work with a resource that can be accessed easily by people. And so it depends on a lot of things. So I think that's we had a good discussion around that, and I actually want to build within that specific space, because for me, I just wanted to ask both of you about some of the projects that you worked on recently. You know, what are some of the mobile apps or websites or even softwares in general you guys have developed, maybe in the last like 3 or 5 years?
Lady first.
Hey, Mandela.
Mandela first.
Okay, so I haven't developed in the mobile space, but I've helped in the design part, like the actual UI UX and the product design stuff. For there, Hey, where? Hey,
It's a lot.
I know. I can't even know which one to narrow down to. Okay, so maybe I can share the ones that I've done in design and the ones that I've done in the code side. So for the design part, I've been in the gym industry. I was designing another app for a gym. Then I've also been in the cleaning side, the waste management industry. I've made one in that area. There's another one that I made. I don't think I've done a lot of. So designs on mobile apps are very rare actually because they tend to be expensive to outsource a designer for a mobile app. But for the web, hey Jehovah, designs are a lot. Because you see now someone comes, someone is like, hi, I would like to get a landing page about this. Once you're done with the landing page, the guy is like, so I have an idea of this and this and this and this. What's your code? Yeah.
So maybe before I go to Castro, because I'm also interested in hearing your experience within that specific space. If you had to explain this to a layman, just what's your approach around the user experience and interface space? How do you kind of manage your creativity within the space? Because I think for me, the most irritating thing, especially when I'm dealing with consultants and even people that we are training, is that they might have a very, 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 very good idea. And even tick off the functionality aspect of what they're developing to the satisfactory of a client, or in this particular case, me. But the issue that I always have is within the user experience and the interface in general. Because for me, if it's too complicated, then it's even difficult to pitch it maybe to potential investors. Because again, you remember when I sit there, I'll not be presenting to them about my impressive backend. In most cases, you'll find that those people don't have enough time to do that. So what principles do you apply when it comes to developing a perfect ecosystem within a user interface and experience in such a way that at least people can be able to use your applications or software easily?
Today I'm going to be a thief. Okay, I would like to steal another thought from my team lead. My team lead, the current place where I'm working, my team lead is always more of like functionality first, then UI.
Yeah.
If you're creating a to-do app, it's easier for you to know that I need to add a to-do, edit a to-do, and delete a to-do, right? So I know for a to-do, it's going to have these areas. So I will ensure that a user can do that first before I focus on the UI. Once I have done the functionalities, then now I can start focusing on the UI. And for the UI, it depends with the budget of the client and also the time you have yourself and the skills you know. If you're an experienced person, you do know that we share users, Cindy. You see the way we have different views. You like using the Microsoft, let's say you like using Excel, I like using Google Sheets, he likes using ClickUp. Both of us will still manage our project, you see? But I can decide I'll jump to Microsoft or I'll jump to ClickUp, you see? So at the end of the day, we share customers. So it doesn't hurt if you just use an existing design system, because it's your MVP. So you can just go, decide I'm going to use, let's say, Ant design system, grab it, build your solution, make sure everything is flowing. Then now you can sit and focus and be like, so this button would look good if it had this. This will do this. Then you go forward. Because if you focus so much on how good the solution looks, you lose the aspect of how it works, because a customer will say, I only want to click that socket. You see? The customer won't say, I want this wall to be painted black so that I can see the socket. You see? So it's more of like, can the customer do that? Yes. Okay. How can we make him have a smoother experience?
Yeah. Okay, that's a nice way of approaching it. So for you, Castro, what are some of the different apps you've worked under?
So before I answer, there are some two words, or I can say acronyms that have popped up, UI and MVP. So I'm sure the listeners or the viewers might be wondering what is UI and what is MVP, because I know like the guys who are going to be watching this are going to get all types of audience. So, and Tom, I forgot to mention this. Mandela is like vast from UI, UX design, coding, leading, and
God.
everything. So, like, she has a lot of things. Like, I know we have a very limited time.
Yeah.
But when it comes to designing, I knew her while she was doing design and user interface, user
And user
experience.
experience, yeah.
Yeah, so I've already defined that. But what is MVP? Just say what MVP is, and then I'll answer Tom's question.
Saidia wananchi.
Wananchi.
Yeah.
MVP.
Yeah.
MVP is a minimum viable product. A very simple thing to show what you are doing. For example, let's use a simple analogy. I like giving examples. The problems of being a project manager.
No problem. By
Yeah.
the way, that's the best way to ensure that you're on the same page with everybody.
Yes. So
Yeah.
let's say in our time we don't have the glass, right? And we'd like to create a simple MVP to show what the glass will do. You'll just go for the card box, shape it into what you want it to be, then go to the investors and be like, this is what you're building. You see? As long as it works, then from there, you'll start considering, oh, what if you add water? Oh, what if you add what? But at the end of the day, you have something to show that this is what I'm making. I think that's the simplest thing I can say.
It's
an
okay.
MVP.
Yeah, it's actually perfect.
Yeah.
That's an MVP because it's not a complete product, but it's something that
But
works
it's enough
close
to
to
at
the
least show,
product. So an
yeah.
investor might be interested in investing and chipping in with more money and seeing where the product lands after many years from now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know we'll go back to this because those are some of the key elements within the software development life cycle. But just before we head there, Castro, some of the different apps that you've developed, and then maybe we can push from there.
I shared this with Tom, I think, is it not 2 months, 1 month ago?
Yeah.
There's this product that I've been working on. It's I don't know how to explain. It's big anyway. It's like building a search engine, but a small one, where you pick some data from a website, you scrape data from a website. It's a religious community in the US anyway. So my client is part of the religion. The religion, yeah.
Yeah.
So you scrape the data and then you kind of utilize OpenAI's text embeddings. I don't know. Am I right? Embeddings model to kind of create some embeddings from the text.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
And then you load the data on a database. We are using MongoDB. MongoDB is an NoSQL database. Then after you load the data there, you also create kind of a querying, I don't know how to put it, logic, so that if a user asks a question, and this querying logic, it also uses the text embeddings model. So if a user asks a question, the question is converted.
Something that's closer to a paragraph
So the question is converted to the embeddings, and then the embeddings from the question are thrown to the DB, the database. Then it tries to see if those embeddings relate to the embeddings from the database. Then it returns something. It's like scraping a website that has a Bible and then giving it to users. And users can be asking, what did Jesus say at this specific moment? Then they'll get a specific answer to what the user has asked.
And based on what's been collected, obviously.
Yeah, and I've also integrated OpenAI's chat completions model in a way that the user is not only getting what is on the database, but we can also have a user asking a question like the way you ask on ChatGPT, and then they are given a response the way ChatGPT responds. But the response has to be fetched from the database. It tries to summarize. It tries to summarize what the user has asked. And this time around, it's not coming from ChatGPT, but ChatGPT has to go. Sorry, I keep mentioning ChatGPT. OpenAI has to go to the database, fetch the data, and then summarize it and give it to the user. That is the easiest way I can explain it. That is the easiest way I can explain it. So that has been an amazing project that I worked on. Since I think Feb to date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, similar question to Winnie, even though she prefers to be called Mandela. We'll try and make sure that we get that in before the podcast ends. So yeah, same question that we shared with Mandela. What principles did you kind of apply while developing this? Because it seems as if it's something that, well, it's complicated depending on who you are asking, but for me, I look at the end result and I can be able to impact the people that you are working for. So what are some of the core principles you brought into that specific project?
The first thing I can say is I'm not a designer myself. So before I started working on the project, I found that their designer had already worked on the UI and everything. So I won't speak about the design principles, but Mandela can expound more on design principles. But when it comes to coding, what I made sure I did is what Mandela said, functionality first. I didn't focus much on ensuring that the product can operate on the front end or the user can use it on the front end.
Because that was already done.
Yeah, I ensured that functionality works from the back end. At least a user can ask a question, they get a response. They can send a query or some question, and the AI response comes back to the user. So I can say, actually, I don't know. The design one is what I would have spoke about, but I'm not good with design.
But just within the back end, you know.
Yeah, within the back end. Functionality first, and then ensuring that I'm following the best coding practices, whereby am I supposed to say more about the coding?
That's
whereby the code has to be clean and no like you understand about is it indentation or whatever indentation? Yeah, so ensure that the code follows the best practices, and also ensure that there are no like, what do you call them, comments, so many comments within the code. It's clean, so that at least when you explain what you did to the product manager, they understand it, and they are they can resonate with you, whatever you are saying. If I worked on this feature, your product manager has to understand like this code is the one that makes this functionality work. And then when it comes to testing, testing comes after everything. Even though you are testing yourself, you also have to give it to the owner, the stakeholders. You have to give it back to them. They have to test with their team, and you also have to have. For me, because I'm doing this as a freelance, I have some guys who I can give the project, and then I tell them, test this, give me feedback. A project is not a project if you're working on it alone and you're saying it's inafanya, iko sawa. You have to give it back to other people. Like, a project is not a project if it's not given to other people, users, to test it. If you're working on an idea and you're the only one who is like, hii ni yangu na iko sawa, it won't go far. But if you give it to people, ask them like, is there anything you feel like I'm supposed to add here? They'll give you feedback, even if it's family. Just tell them, test this for me. Then give me feedback. And then after that, I don't want to speak about this because I know it will come. But that is basically some of the things that I ensure while I'm working on a project, I consider.
So again, as you've said, we'll try and cover that as we conclude. I wanted to take you guys back a little bit, though. We've talked about your principles around designing and development. But now, for purposes of just getting the regular audience on board, let's look at ideation and rationale. How do you go about that process, Winnie? If you have an idea, how do you go about, figuring out the rationale? And is there any relevance in analysis? Some of these things we just talk about in theory, but is there any relevance in integrating analysis into that specific process to have a product that speaks to now the people you're targeting?
I'm a part of an organization called Founders Institute, and I can say by the way the startups usually pitch and then the mentors give feedback. Analysis ni muhimu.
Oh, okay.
Like, you can have the best pitch, but once you're done, they're just like, do you know any other competitor products? Do you know anyone else in your industry? If you don't know, it's more of like, Like just a turn off, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But now back to the ideation part. If you're building a product to like, if it's like you're building let's say a software in this case, if you're building a software to like sell or like make it as your own startup, then for that one you'll need to do the analysis part, because you don't want to waste your time in it, because a lot of founders are usually more of like, I'm investing my time in this product, so in the future I'll get good shares. You see, so you don't want to spend 2 years in a product that already exists. For the ideation part also, okay, if now you're not building like now for the product part, you're just more of like exploring and trying to do what, you pick an idea that will help you learn. So let me give you an example. I'm mostly a front-end engineer. In the Angular space, we rarely have like how do you call them, UI kits to be used, you know? Like in the coding part, there are some people who just sat down and they're like, you know what, I'm going to build for you people a UI kit. You just install and use. We have like very limited number of such. So if I was an Angular developer and I'm looking for an idea to build, that is what I will build, because it's open source. And even if I waste my time, the goal is I will have learned, you see? But if I am, I'm building, let's say like a product to sell,
the market,
then now I will sit and be more of like, if I was a developer, what will I need so much? I would need a rich text editor, you see? So I would build a product that offers specifically that feature alone. But now the other problem would be a lot of people tend to stick on the ideation area. Like you over-ideate, you know that you're supposed to create a quick rich text editor. Like in a Shanza, a user should be able to highlight and color. A user should be able to open a new tab and upload I don't know what. No, just sit and like say, I'm just creating a rich text editor. It should have this and this and this and this. Boom. Next stage, what existing rich text editor do we have in the market? What are they doing? What can I do different? You see? That helps, because you can spend 2 hours creating the feature list of your rich text editor, but then you find all those features are being offered for free on another rich text editor.
That's true.
So that means you've just wasted your time. So ideate quick and research more.
Okay. Castro. How about you? How do you go about ideating, integrating rationale, and also as well as the analytics side of things?
For me, I can say, though I'm not in the design space, but ideation is ideation, because once you're given user requirements, you need to ideate. So for me, I can say what I normally do is I try to brainstorm and see whether I can figure out any possible solutions that can solve this problem. That is my ideation, nothing more. I don't want to think about which coding language I'm going to use or which tools I'm going to use. The first thing I think about is the solution.
What's the solution?
The solution?
Yeah.
The rest, if I can't like work towards achieving that goal, that is creating the solution, I would rather hire some team of guys who can achieve that.
Yeah.
And you also have to understand that in tech, you can't know everything. It's like me being in the mobile development space. At the same time, I'm still in the cloud space. Of course, we'll get there, but you find that you're somewhere. There's also a mobile developer who can work on the mobile app side. So if it's an idea that needs to be like, the solution needs to come in a specific way, you'll have to get a team that can do that. But before that, just think about the solution. Just think about the solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the analysis side, what are some of the indicators you're always looking for? When
For the analysis side,
idea?
for the analysis side, I can say I try to see if what I brainstormed and I came up with as a solution. I try to see whether it like aligns with what the user requirements were, because if it doesn't like align with that, then that means you are moving away from the actual goal. Yeah,
that's fine, but I'll put some pressure a little bit. Taking it out now to the market. how do you, just as Mandela said, how do you kind of gain insight as to whether this is something unique going into the market, or maybe you're trying to replicate? How do you bring that aspect into now your ideation process?
Trying to see whether it's unique.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might brainstorm and realize that the solution that you have come up with, it's almost similar to somebody else's idea or something that was that already exists. So I can say the best way to tackle this is try to fine-tune it, or try to include or have some features that your competitor doesn't have. And that doesn't give you a direct ticket to having guys moving from your competitor to you. You still have a long way to go. And I think this is something I would like Mandela to explain more, because it's more in the UX research. I think UX, anything UI, UX, I know you're an expert, Mandela. So case studies, I feel like it's good to do market research and some case studies before you even come up with the solution, because they are the ones that will guide you on what next, because you can't and there's a time Tommy was talking about how guys in tech just wake up and someone just starts developing something without even designing and doing their case studies and market research and everything. You just wake up and I want to create this, and you just work on a product. So I'm not that much well versed with UI UX designing, but Mandela is an expert, and I'm so happy she is here.
So Mandela, let me turn the pressure on you a little bit. I tend to always feel as if the term unique and niche is being overhyped, especially within your space, because we've seen big platforms, very, very big platforms like Snapchat, lose some of its functionality just around the ideation, lose some of its functionality to other social media platforms who have gone on to kind of grow. And so I tend to feel, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I tend to feel that being unique is very, very important, but you can also build on what people have done. So being somebody who works within that space quite proficiently, do you feel as if there's too much energy that's being put on being niche or being unique instead of maybe improving on what the market has? Or do you still feel that that's something that you have to strive for just to ensure that there's no competition within what it is you're trying to do?
Hey, any more talk?
Sorry. I know you're in that space. And I know those challenges are there day in, day out. Yeah.
So maybe just correct. I think for the question you're asking, goes more into a different, I don't know if I should say career or a different sector. It's called product management. Because now the product manager is the one who is worried about those business stuff. And you tell a product manager who would like to create our own solution to handle payments. They'd be like, we have Stripe, we have Paid, we have I don't know what. So in that case, and I can't say it depends now. What will I say? I think.
But should people stress? I think for me, just to simplify the question, do you feel as if too much energy is being placed in trying to be? Because we've been in spaces where you see somebody has a very good idea, but they've almost overshot what it is they want to achieve, just to try and impress at face value. But when you look at now the work that has gone behind that, you tend to feel as if they've fallen short. Instead of just simplifying maybe a solution, starting somewhere, and then building it to where it will eventually get, you find people may be overshooting, especially when they're now presenting their prototypes. So what would be your advice for people like that? Can we just start somewhere small and then grow? Or should they always just shoot towards ensuring that they are existing within their own space completely?
I think my advice would be to stop overthinking, because at the end of the day, the customer is always right. You see, as much as you're the owner of the product or the CEO, the customer is always right. If I can't press that socket or that switch, no matter how good looking it is, I just won't buy it. So your idea of people putting too much energy, yes, it's true. A lot of people do waste a lot of time into not even building thinking and ideating on how this switch is going to look, how
different it is going to be
how
from,
different. But you find that, for example, the idea that I was telling you, the rich text editor, you can find that a certain solution is providing all the features that you're providing for free. Yeah. But for you, what you decided is, I'm not targeting the whole global market. I'm only targeting people within the agriculture space. You see? So anyone who's in agriculture and is building a solution would be like, I'll just go to what Castro built because it's built for us. But you see, they're willing to pay because it's small, but it's helping us. As compared to the other one, it's rich and good, but it's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
So it's the way I've said, you should be unique, yes, but not 100% unique. But I think the niche is much more better because I can build this stand, but be like, I'm only going to build stands that will be used for the live shows only. So if someone has a live show, he'll come for me. But if someone has a studio, he won't come for me, and it's okay because I'll eventually get there. But for now, I'm focusing on the other side.
Yeah. And I think that needs to be told more and more. I think that the whole concept around niching down, which is what you're explaining, I think needs to be shared a lot more, especially within your spaces. Because again, as you said, your niching criteria can be based on your targeting this specific audience.
Yeah.
So that even if it's the same sort of applications or functions, as long as it's now for MSMEs, it's for healthcare workers, it's for guys within agriculture, then that's how you kind of grow. And I think that's what I miss when you even go into these presentations. You find a lot of big plans, a lot of amazing ideology, but ikifika sasa unaona protocol. So that's that's been fun. I know it was a tough question, but
I know.
It's one of those where if you go through as you went through it, you can be able to teach people quite a lot. So I know we've talked about your principles around design and development. So what I want us to finalize is around now publishing and sharing with the public. Castro, you talked about the importance of sharing it with other people so that they can be able to also give you some feedback. So I just wanted to understand that process for you guys, especially when you're working on a product that's going to be released out there in the market. What does that process look like for you when it comes to publishing for the public to be able to use?
Mandela first.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
The Lord is seeing you. Whoever is watching this, gender equality. Hallelujah. Okay, so I think I can give feedback on both the design part and the software part, but in two types. So it also depends on the company that you're in. If you're a startup, in startups, the design person usually has you can have a design person or not have a design person, you see, because the founder will just be like, oh yeah, Castro, sinaja UX, nifanye system, takulipa na shares, you see? And you'll just do it for me and then I'll give it to my dev team. And the dev team doesn't have all those, I don't know, tech lead, I don't know what. It's usually more of your back end, front end, or full stack. Then once you're done, I'll just share it with my friends, or I can even share it with my fellow workmates to test it. That's on the startup side. So for the startup, it's usually more of do you have an MVP that can be used? Yes. Can we share? Yes. But before sharing, let me test it I as the founder first. Then I share it with other people. You see? But if it's in a huge organization, this is the code part now. But if it's in a huge organization, where it's usually more of it's test based on a feature. The authentication module is done, send it to the QA team. Because now to the QA team, they also have to there are two types of QA, the manual testers and the automation tester. So the automation tester is what they'll be doing mainly what Castro was saying, checking the code is clean, you've made the requirements, automating the whole user flow. And then also there's something called code coverage. So that's what is used to detect clean code.
Oh, okay.
So in a big company, they'll do that. So it's from the dev to the QA, then it will be dev QA. Then once it's ready, it goes now to the to the users. But also, if you're in that big company and there is someone there who likes giving us stress, called a product manager, they'll gather products and be like, the button not looking the way it looks, then they send it back to you.
Your code is not clean.
They send it back to you, you see? So it depends. So that's how, for the software side, that's how it happens. So in general, I can say it's more of like you build, then, you design. You design like now the feature system requirement analysis and stuff. Then you build. After building, then you test. After testing, you can iterate again. That's the whole procedure. But now, the steps involved in those stages are what differs based on what you
the
are.
scale of what you are doing.
Alternatively, if you're by yourself, you do everything and then you're like, hi, Tom. I've been working hard of late. Please do some honors and tests. Because in some WhatsApp group, you see someone has built an app and then he just shares the links and he's like, hi, fam, can you people test and give feedback? And developers do that.
Yeah.
But now when it comes to the design area, where? Okay, but also the design area, it also depends as well on the the deliverables. If you are a freelance designer, you have to come up with your own structure of doing work, you see? Like, will I do user research? Will I document it? Will I do high fidelity, then send? But in most cases, in a freelancer who's doing UI UX, the deliverables are usually more of just the prototype itself. How you get to the prototype is none of if I was a client, how you get to the prototype is none of my business. Me, I just want, you design the app, I can click and it goes next. Good, thank you, you see? Unless if I'm a client like you and I know I need this. If not, then just a prototype. But if you're in a company with a fully fledged design department, it's either you be a UI designer or a UX person or a UX researcher, you see? So you'll have to start with research. After research, you go to now creating user stories and user flows, then user actions, send them to the PM, I don't approve, Samakatai, Amaseme, After you're done with the O's, start working on the low fidelity, then high, then you send them to the PM, then the PM accepts. If the PM accepts, now they're taken and given to the coding team. Then now the tech lead is like, Tom, you'll do authentication, Castro, you'll do this. Because on the dev side, it's not about the screens, it's about the modules. It's about authentication, products, paying, you see? But on the front end, on the UI side, it's more of a user can create an account, a user can sign up, a user can do this.
Okay. So on the software side, I think that's covered well enough. Now on public interfacing, you've talked about sharing, whether it's a small or large scale prototype that you're working with. So you've talked about sharing maybe with a specific group, or whether it's your friends, your peers, or maybe just a select demographic. So I tend to see, in most cases, even for us, when we developed our e-learning platform here at Acquict, we had to actually leverage on programs that we are implementing to select, a group of around, I think, 50 people from different demographics, so that we can be able to test the usability and function end of the platform that we are developing. So just from your own experience, from both of you, do you think it's important when you're releasing something that's as large scale as maybe an e-learning platform? Do you think it's important to kind of test it with different demographics just to kind of see how they're engaging with it before you release it now to the public? Or again, are those just unnecessary expenses? Because I had to really justify that budget to the executive director, because we picked people from, I think, 10 different counties. 50% of them were farmers, 20% were people from MSMEs, and then we had people from TVETs and TVETs and colleges. So does that approach make sense to you guys, or is it a bit of overkill just from your own point of view?
I'll go because I know Mandela has already spoken. So remember I said when you're working on a project or a product, actually as an organization, you can't have it like ready and like release it to the market. And I can't have a product at Castro and I'm out here like claiming that I have an idea and have a product that can assist people doing this and that, but they haven't tested the product yet. So it's necessary to kind of like give it out there to the market. Anyone, just give it to anyone and ask for feedback from them. Like, how do you feel about it? Are these colors what you'd like wish to see with you'd wish to have within the product, or are these features what you'd like kind of like have within the product? What was the time spent like scrolling and doing this and that? Like, how did you feel about this?
But
that
Castro,
will be helpful.
my thing is, sorry to interrupt. So my thing is around the strictness. Do you now just have it be an open beta, or do you have a closed sort of environment so that you can get that feedback within that small ecosystem, work on all the different changes before you now release it to the public?
I think that one, I would choose that one, like having it tested within a specific environment, and then you can now release to another environment where like it's kind of like a huge one and still get feedback. So I prefer having like an internal team that can test, let them give you feedback. Because I know you let's say, for example, you have outsourced someone, a freelancer or a company to work on that. So the internal team, maybe like 20 guys or 15 guys can give you feedback, and then anything can be corrected that maybe is not what you wanted or what they feel like, because it's like a QA team. So like they'll give you feedback and tell you, no, this is not what we feel like should be here. And then you'll also give it to the users. You can select a team of users. Let's say, for example, like 10 guys from Machakos, 10 guys from Mombasa, 10 guys from Kisumu. Let them test and then give you feedback also before it's released, like launched to the entire like.
That's true.
So I don't know what Mandela you feel about that.
Is that overkill, or do you think that that's something that can yield results, especially depending on the size of the platform there?
It can yield results if planned properly. One of the things I think from what I've gathered while working is never get external testers if internal hasn't tested. Like if let's say you've said you're building that learning platform, and in this case, I'm assuming that the developers are internal, right? So if I was a project manager, I'll just give the project to be tested by the backend people. Then look for other people within the office and tell them to test. Then once you've gotten feedback from the internal team, is now when you can go like external. But you can also decide you can decide to be hard-headed, like us over here. Instead of selecting a simple group of people, you depend on what your internal team has said.
And
just say this program for the lead, it's called Lead Podcast.
Lead series,
this Lead Series podcast will be our beta users. So regardless of who is coming, you just tell them, for you to join this podcast, you have to create an account on our platform and you have to use it. You still also get feedback that as well. Because irrespective of whether they do decide to listen or not, they will have used this.
They'll have at least signed it.
There's a concept I was told, you either have to choose trading between internal consistency or external consistency. And that's something, even in the software industry, you just have to have it on your head.
Tom, I know we have spoke about ideation and rationale and design and development, but I'd just like to hear some insights from Mandela on deployment. Like, what's your take on deployment?
Deployment? Depends on your pocket. Sorry for saying it loud, but honestly, it depends on your pocket and I think on your skill set, because you meet a lot of people and people be like, I think I'll deploy in Azure. Azure is quite good, but that's because they have used it for quite some time and they're like, damn, this thing is good. But you'll find someone else who's like, no, I don't have that money. I'll just get my $2, open my account in DigitalOcean, create a droplet and use it. You see? So it basically depends on your pocket.
Yeah.
If you're planning to scale, like if the product is planning to like scale, let's say like your e-learning platform, you people will definitely have to invest in a good cloud provider.
Yeah, it's not. We have it on Azure, and we started. So obviously there's a monthly subscription attached to it. So we started paying around $100 to $150 a month for the first K. For the first 1,000 subscribers. But when we got to around, I think we're at 8,000 now, we are now paying around $660 per month.
Per month.
For active subscriptions. And it doesn't just charge on successful logins, it charges on video streams, it charges on, every single action that it can be able to record, all the way from clicks to all of that. So it puts all of that into account, and that's why we are now landing on that specific space. So yeah, just to agree with you, by the way, you have to have a large budget you have to have a budget to kind of figure out how you want to basically manage the scalability aspect.
Because I've worked with Azure, Google Cloud, and then AWS, and there's one called Vercel. And I find that a lot of people usually just ask you, what do you want to do with that product you've built? Okay, what do you want to do with it? You want to do live streaming? Does it have images? They're like, go create a bucket on AWS, use it, then deploy it on Vercel. But if you go to organizations such as them, it's quite affordable for them to use Azure because you people use Microsoft, right? As your main communication channel. So in Microsoft, if let's say you're a Microsoft Gold partner, anyone who has account within your enterprise account is given $150. You see? So if I'm creating a solution and I don't have credits, I'll just host it on your account. And once the credits are done, they'll be replenished. You see? That's affordable because I'm not buying for Azure credits only. I'm buying for the whole suite. But if I don't have that,
that's where it becomes tricky.
So one last question. This is with regards to deployment. So how do you handle post-deployment issues and ensures continuous improvement to the product?
Okay. So once the MVP has been built, from there, I have to have a detailed release plan of the features being released. So let me go back to my rich text editor. One day I'll have a startup on that. So no, a rich text editor is not a good example. So let's use your e-learning platform as an example. For the MVP, it will be as simple as a user can log in, right? And watch a video only. Right? You won't track the generated certificate, I don't know what, you see? And you'd have a limit for let's say 10 users or 20 users alone, right? But now if you go to the next phase, it will be more of increasing the number of users who can come in. Also increasing how good the video quality is, you see? So with that release plan, now that is what I'll create my post-deployment plan now. So I know by this month, I need to do this. So the way you said, in tech, you don't know everything. If I'm supposed to release that feature and I don't know how that is handled on the cloud provider, I'll have to learn on how to do that. Alternatively, there's also another thing called monitoring solutions, but that one you have to be a good DevOps person. For the CI/CD, I think for the continuous integration, it depends on what continuous integration you're doing because they're different type. There's one that is supposed to deploy the solution for you. And then in the QA side, there's one that's supposed to run something called a smoke test. A smoke test is basically testing a simple flow. If you're building an e-commerce system, a smoke test will test that a user can log in, buy a product, add it to cart, and check out. You see? So for the CI/CD, it will depend on that. But I will ensure that per every release feature, I have a very good documentation. That's also something that we should consider. People don't consider about that, but I know about it.
I can say that I think Mandela mentioned this about startups, small startups. For them, it's you can say design, develop, and then you just develop, push on GitHub, and then deploy. In case there's any changes, they'll try to copy paste that and put it on deployment.
Yeah.
But when you go to big companies, what Mandela is now mentioning, CI/CD and DevOps, those are the practices that they kind of utilize.
Yeah.
Because they have very huge code base where you can't rely on copy pasting and just copying some code and put it on the deployment. You have to have some continuous integration and continuous deployment practices or pipelines, which in a way will automate the process of testing and even deploying. Any changes you push, you don't have to ensure that you copy and paste it, but it picks it and send it to the front end. The functionality will automatically work from your side. So that is a good thing about CI/CD. Then when you go, when you go to, sorry about that, users, viewers. So when you go to DevOps, I'm always thinking about users. When you go to DevOps, this is the side where the development side and operations side will kind of cooperate. Sorry, not cooperate. Collaborate. I'm tired, by the way. Collaborate. So there's not going to be some bit of confusion with who is doing what and who is doing where and when. Some issues will be sorted out instantly because they have wameshikana hivi. So those are the practices I can say will help with post deployment issues and ensuring that we have improvements. And I think Mandela amesema kila kitu.
But so to add on, if you're a software engineer, you should know how to edit a YAML file. You won't be asked to, but the day you'll be given a project, or else you'll be on you can't deploy something. A whole you can't.
A whole engineer you can't. Yeah. So that's a lot to learn, by the way. But again, there's so much that you've been able to share, both of you. And I wanted us to close with just a simple word of advice for that young lady who maybe is just in the process of learning some HTML and CSS. Bado hajaelewa venye sasa kuelekea kwa hiyo area ya prototyping and all of that. What will be the advice that you'll give that young lady from Machakos or Busia, where I'm from? Or, but you didn't say where you're from. Ushagoni wapi?
Not in the public.
Hata kama ni Atlanta,
no.
Sema tu hata region, Western, Eastern, Nyanza,
Nairobi.
Kidogo hapo tricky. I'm a half caste. Sijui ni half caste ama quarter caste.
Oh, okay. Now I get. But anyway, what would you tell just a young Kenyan lady in general who's trying to pursue a career within this specific space? What would be your word of advice to them? Okay.
I don't know how this is going to sound to them, but I think it's what I've learned from whatever I've been doing. I think it's learn to know nothing. Si ukwe dwanzi ati usisome. No. When I say learn to know nothing, it's more of you're in an industry that's ever changing. You see, whatever you learn in 2020 is most likely what you might or might not use in 2024. You see, so you can't stick on that. So just be open to this is a new space I'm coming. Whatever I know, I'll hold it back there. I know nothing in this area, so let me just read. And if you read and you find that, I knew that, then you can pick. You can pick, because I think the thing that troubles a lot of people is bias, in the sense that I want to be a software engineer, but Castro spent 2 months being a software engineer. He spent 1 month in being a software, let's say learning HTML and CSS. You see, I'll be biased. I'll be like, mbona yangu haingii kwa kichwa? Why am I not understanding?
Yeah.
But if you would have decided to clear your head and just join the system with a new head, you would have learned more. Then the other thing I would say is be an observant. No one is going to teach you how to be a CEO. No one is going to teach you how to be a software engineer. But the people around you will. If you have that friend who's a software engineer, just sit and watch what is he or she doing. You see? Just don't copy. find a way to find your own way. If it's good in reading documentation and you're good in watching videos, just watch. But know that the more you upgrade towards being a senior or a high-level engineer, they're called principal engineers, the more your tactics changes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's been an amazing session. Thank you very much, Ms Winne Mandela. Let's make sure we get that in, even though she had warned us a little bit earlier, but just for purposes of at least showing some level of respect. Unajua ukifunzwa, you have to make sure that you maintain official titles. So yeah, it's been an amazing time having you here. I'm hoping those of you who will take the time to listen to this will really give it the time that it deserves, because not only have we talked about just what the landscape looks like for e-solutions, but we've actually taken it a step further and talked about or had a critical look at what the SDLC space usually entails and how you can be able to thrive in each and every area. So kindly take the time to listen to this. We'll post it in full. We will post clips. We'll make sure that through Castro's help, we'll even put reels to kind of help you with the reference in the episode. And yeah, tune in for more as we continue to learn about the wonderful space that is technology, and hopefully we can be able to continue producing episodes and meeting with industry experts and professionals like Winnie here, who are willing to share as much information and insight on what this lovely digital age entails. Otherwise, asanteni sana, and for more, kindly subscribe, and let's meet on the next episode.